Hello and welcome. Thanks so much for being here, folks. We have a lot of attendees signed up for today's webinar, and loads of people are still trickling in, so we'll get started in just a minute. Thanks so much. Another hello and welcome to the folks coming in. Thanks so much for being here. Again, lots of folks still joining the webinar as we speak, so we'll get started in just under a minute. Thanks for being here. All right, let's get started. Hi, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's session. The future of video search in Canvas, how AI is changing the way students learn. Whether you're joining us first thing in the morning, during your lunch break, or ending your day with us, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever in the world you may be. We know how busy your schedules are, and we are truly grateful that you have chosen to spend this time here with us. Just a quick bit of housekeeping before we dive in. Yes, today's recording will be recorded. And yes, you will be receiving a link to the recording in your email inbox soon. Also, please use the Zoom Q&A tool for any and all questions throughout the webinar. We've got a great team of folks here, some of them off camera, monitoring that Q&A and ready to answer all those questions as we go. Today's webinar is a special collaboration between Instructure and Panopto. We're here to explore a shift that's happening right now in the way folks are learning globally. The move from video as a passive playback tool to video as an engaging, collaborative, and intelligent learning catalyst. We'll be diving into how AI-powered tools like smart search, automated summaries, and key concept extraction are being embedded directly into the Canvas workflows you already use. Our goal is to show you how these innovations amplify learning at scale and, more importantly, how they help students find exactly what they need, exactly when they need it. My name is Benji Messinger-Barnes, your host for today's webinar, and I'm part of the team here at Instructure. But before I joined Instructure, I spent 15 years in the classroom as a middle and high school math teacher. Back in 2014, I leaned heavily into the flipped classroom model, and that's where I first saw the magic happen. When you use video strategically, it doesn't just deliver content, it amplifies learning. And that's why I'm so personally excited about what Panopto is doing. These new AI features, the smart search, the automated summaries, these are just some of the tools I wish I'd had 10, 12 years ago. So I'm here today as much a fan of this technology as I am a host of the webinar. And I can't wait to learn alongside you from this incredible panel of experts joining us today. Andy, I'll pass it over
Ben
to you.
Benji, thank you so much. I love the energy and I love seeing the number of participants keep going up. Thank you all so much for being here. My name's Andy Bortz. I'm a senior instructional technology support specialist at UNLV, and in the blink of an eye, 8 years has gone by since I started working at UNLV, but I've been in higher education ever since 2010. Video is my passion. Being able to help faculty, students teach and learn with video is a passion of mine. And I tell you what, this is an honor to be here and be able to share our experience and talk about two great products and how they all shake hands with each other, and talk about the future of search and AI and everything like that. And with that, Puljit, I'll pass it over to you to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you, Benji. There is a lot of energy, so I'm going to match it because I am super excited. I'm Kuljit Dhani. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Panopto. I take a lot of pride in what we do, and that is because we get to work with incredible people, such as Instructure, but also incredible customers like Andy. And everything that we do is really for our customers because we want to make video meaningful. We want to make it yours. So stepping back a little bit, I also have been on campus and for quite a long time. I have 15 years to match Benji's 15 years, but in higher education. So I was at two campuses at Babson College in Massachusetts and Harvard Business School. It is an incredible environment. The energy, the sort of innovations that happen are phenomenal. Since then, I have also served the campus, but in slightly different capacities by working in ed tech. So education is just the heart and soul of what I do, and I cannot imagine doing anything but education, no matter what modality I happen to engage with it in. Okay, I'm going to hand it back to you, Benji.
Right on. Thank you both so much. Okay, folks, here's our roadmap for today's webinar. We're going to jump right into the heart of the matter, the why. We'll look at why the old way of just hitting play isn't enough anymore, and we'll explore data on the ways in which students actually engage with video today. From there, we'll move into the how. I'll pass it back to Kuljit, who will take the wheel first to frame up Panopto's design philosophy, essentially the blueprint behind these tools. Then we'll see that philosophy in action as Andy walks us through a live demonstration of these seamless workflows directly inside of Canvas. Then, to ground this all in reality, Andy is also going to walk us through a UNLV case study, showing us what this transformation looks like at a major institution. We'll wrap up by looking at what's next on the horizon for video learning. We want to make sure this session is as helpful for you as possible. So we've made sure to save some time at the end to address the questions that you drop into the Q&A area throughout, and to make sure we hit all the questions you're most curious about. Let's start by talking about the why. Why the old way of just hitting play isn't enough anymore. For a long time, there was this assumption that video was a passive, a linear experience, something that a learner just watches from start to finish once. But the reality is, and the data support, that whether it's a 60-minute lecture or even a 2-minute procedural clip, learners are not just passive viewers. They're using the video as an active study tool. Video has truly become a living knowledge base for them. Look at the data from the University of Washington to see how integral video is to teaching and learning there. A staggering 98% of students reported that video directly contributed to their learning, and 90% credited video for helping them improve their actual grades. Listen, the value is clearly there, but, and this is a big but, there is a massive amount of friction in the current process. Learners today don't want to watch a video. They want to query it. They want to treat a video the same way we treat a textbook or a search engine. They want to flip to the exact page, the exact paragraph, the exact second that solves their immediate problem. They're pausing, rewinding, and extracting information in real time to support their specific learning goals. They're looking for an answer. And without the right tools, video study sessions become an exercise in frustration. We've all seen it. I'm sure we've all lived it, scrubbing back and forth on a timeline, trying to find that one 30-second explanation of a complex idea inside of a longer recording, or when a learner has to rewatch an entire recording just to find that one specific moment. We aren't just wasting their time, we're increasing their cognitive load. They're spending more energy finding the information than actually learning it. And now there's a new layer of friction. Student expectations have changed. In the age of Gen AI, students expect answers to be nearly instant and definitely searchable. And here's the risk. If they can't find those answers quickly within your vetted course materials, they're likely to go look for them elsewhere. They may turn to another external AI tool to fill in that gap. And as we know, those outside tools don't have the context of your specific lecture or your specific lab. So when students leave the Canvas environment, leave your curriculum to find these answers elsewhere, they risk finding information that is generic at best or hallucinated at worst. So the challenge is clear. We need to make the right information also the easiest information for students to find. We need to give them that fast answer experience they've come to expect, but keep it grounded in the actual curriculum. And so the question becomes, how do we, as institutions, make video more usable, more effective, and as searchable and as intelligent as a chatbot, but keep it grounded in the curriculum and directly inside of Canvas. To help us understand the philosophy and the technology that is actually solving these challenges, I'm going to pass the microphone back to Koljit.
Benji, thank you so much. That is a beautiful setting of context on video and search. So in this section, I'm going to go over the overview of our product design principles and really sort of the North Stars that we have set ourselves. You see 5 on the screen. It's a lot more than this, but these are the foundational ones. So this is where I'm going to spend some of our time. So these are not passive ideals. These are active approaches because we want to put our customer at the center of what we do and how we think, because we want to create positive impact to our work, right? And if this resonates with what you've heard from Instructure, that's why we work so closely together. So if we look at principle number 1, it really should be a simple statement, which is video supports the natural flow of learning. If I could have the next slide, please. And it really is as simple as that, because I know there is friction in many solutions where you are leaving the hub of learning. And the hub of learning, Canvas, is where faculty want to engage, where students want to engage, and going outside of the context is friction. So we try and eliminate it. And our good friends at One EdTech have provided us the perfect tool, which is LTI. So we embed right into the LMS, into Canvas, and act as a natural resource right there, which means the faculty do not need to learn something new. If they want to browse the entire Panopto video library, they do it within the context of Canvas, which also means when they assign that video as a resource, as an assignment, it is embedded in the course structure of Canvas. So they're in their class, they see that, it's right there, they can press play, they don't need to go anywhere, and have full functionality. So if you move to the second principle, video supports multiple teaching modalities. As I mentioned, I spent 15 years on campus. I taught as well as worked in IT, did my MBA, so have a lot of different sort of perspectives on this. And if there's one thing I know is life on campus is really complex, because these modalities are not static. They move. A single class can be flipped for one session and then be hybrid for another session, or in person, etc. Right? You can move back and forth in a very fluid manner, which means flexibility is the key. And we aim to be as flexible as possible because we want to meet you where you are. So if we pick just a couple of these elements, for the flipped classroom, as Benji mentioned, that changed sort of this aha moment. That's because you are setting all of that sort of material outside of the class, which also means then you've got to have a good gauge of what the students handle on that material is, right? What did they retain? What are they able to articulate? Especially if you end up in a lab, which is really precious time. You want to make sure, if they're working with an instrument that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, as some of these in biotech do, you need that sort of state of mind prior to that session, which means the faculty need to know how well the student did, and they can do that, right? You can embed quizzes right there. And if you haven't done it as a student, they can reach out to you. Another piece which I have noted here in an online environment, for instance, is leveraging the entire library as a resource, which is really key if you are a student in an online course, because you're engaging with it in an ad hoc fashion. So these different modalities are very easy to engage with Panopto, because we treat video as homework, pre-work, in-class assignments, etc. The third principle, which is up on screen here in terms of being interactive and engaging, is really, really critical. So these in-video quizzes are elements that provide that engagement, but we also don't want to create friction points for the faculty by making them go somewhere else to find the results of what that engagement is. So there is a beautiful harmonious relationship with the Canvas gradebook. The students engage in these quizzes, which can be one or more in a lecture, in a 30-minute lecture, for instance. If you want, you could have 20 quizzes in there, right? I don't think your students are going to probably like that, but you could. All of the results of those engagements go into the Canvas gradebook. So the faculty's engagement is exactly the same as it would be for any other asset, right? No new learning. So let's move on to principle number 4, which is the video, the asset, the knowledge needs to be discoverable. So Panopto started 18 years ago with a challenge at that time, a really big challenge of capturing multiple streams of video and audio in a live class session and making sure everything is time aligned. We did that, and then we got to problem number 2, which is we captured all this video. How do I find anything? So that finding anything, so it doesn't end up in this warehouse that you have no idea, what the boxes in that warehouse are and what the contents of those boxes are, is we transcribe everything. So every single word that is spoken is able to be found to that exact moment. We actually go further than this because we will also use optical character recognition for text on screen and make that findable too. So everything that is said or is visible on the screen has a timestamp, and you search a word or keywords or a concept to get at that relevant knowledge, you will get to that right there and then across everything you have rights to, whether as a faculty member, whether as a student, whether as a researcher. We are always extending the functionality, and I'll speak more to this little bit. I'm just sort of teasing it here in terms of the AI search functionality, but I'll speak to that a little bit later on. So moving to principle number 5. So all of this engagement is wonderful, right? But how do you get at efficacy? So analytics, the data surrounding all of the engagement are key and relevant. You want to know when students might be in trouble. You want to know if the messages or the concept that faculty are putting forward are resonating. And this happens through a set of dashboards. This happens through a set of metrics that Panopto collects on the engagement. So we provide a dashboard, as you see here. We provide specific data that track where students drop off, what specific segments might be frequently rewatched, what terms are they searching for. Because if, say, you have a 30-minute video or a 60-minute video and a particular loop is happening, it's likely because that concept is hard to understand. And the faculty may want to break that out into a pre-work as post-work, post-class session, something along those lines, or potentially take that 60-minute video and chunk it up into 10-minute ones so that there is more engagement, right? The cognitive overload is very, very real. So you want to ensure that the students are engaging in the material in the way that you want them to, and that maximizes the efficacy of their learning. So this is all good and well, but to bring it to life, I'm going to hand it off to my good friend Andy to show how does this work.
Ooh, demo time. It's always the exciting part, but the person doing the demo sometimes has a little bit of sweat running down his head. But we're going to make this come to life for you all so you can see exactly how powerful an integration like this can be to support the fact that students really, really want to be immersed in video. They want to make sure that anything that they have at their arsenal to study, to help them study better, is available. And that's what Panopto has done. And the fact that it is shaking hands perfectly with Canvas. It just makes it a really, really easy way to have, especially our faculty on our campus, and I know everywhere else, have incentive to use it and give the students more of that ability to control the way that they learn and have that ability to go back and forth. So I'm starting out in my Canvas sandbox, and notice that I have just clicked the Panopto Recordings navigation link, which, thanks to the Canvas courses I'm taking at Instructure, the Certified Power User course, I've learned a lot more about some of the tips and tricks for this. So this is just a really, really cool way to show that knowledge as well. But notice that as an instructor, I can go to that Panopto Recordings link, and this is where all my content lives. I simply would have to go up and select my Create button, choose whether I want to go into Panopto for my application for Windows or Mac, or for a browser. And next thing you know, I'm recording, and that content goes right into my course folder. How easy is that? It's one less thing to think about when you are putting content together, because in the past, people were putting content everywhere, and they were sharing links, and people would lose the links, then have to reach out to the instructor to send the link again. Then the instructor said, I can't do this. I'm just going to send it to everyone with the link. And then next thing you know, that video got out, and somebody who wasn't supposed to watch it was watching it. That's the beauty of an integration like this, because the first thing I want to show off is that the integration actually knows who in the course is a teacher or a TA or a designer or a course admin, and who in the course is a student. And it makes those groups for you. So you're not having to worry about going in and hand entering all of this like you would have to do for maybe sharing a Google file or anything like that. This is all done for you. And it's so simple, and we'll show you the equation a little bit later, but a simple equation always makes an integration look really, really good. So the next thing I want to kind of show off for you is some of the ways that content can be embedded, just like Kuljit was talking about a little bit ago. So as an instructor, if I go into my assignments area and I want to be able to embed something, it's as simple as going into an assignment and going to the rich content editor. And once I do that, the best part about it is I can actually go in and say, oh, there's my Panopto logo. I can go in there, I can find a recording that I would like to embed, or if I haven't done the recording yet, I can just click record and have it all done right there. So the power of embedding content like this speaks to the fact that you're staying in Canvas, not just to put this all together, but that also means your students are still in Canvas, working with everything here. So it's a super easy workflow to put an assignment together. And that's what students really appreciate, is staying in the same place and not having to go outbound to do what they need to do. Because as Benji even said, if you have to go outbound, they will. So keep them in the same space, right? Next thing I want to show you right now is some quiz functionality. So when we talk about quizzes, one of the things that we were able to do was put one together in advance here to show you what that would look like. But from the instructor perspective, if I go into my editor and I go to my quizzes, you will see that there's an area where I already have added a quiz. So you can see at 201, I have a quiz there. And if I wanted to add more to the video, as Kuljit was saying, maybe you want 20 quizzes, you could do that as well. But with the quiz being in here, I'm all set to get going, and I had taken it already. So you see it says, hey, someone's taken this already. So at least there's a fail-safe built in there as well. So you can see that putting this all together from the instructor perspective is really, really well and good. Now, let's go in the student perspective here, so I can show you what this looks like. So ironically, my student's name is Panopto Student. No coincidence there. But take a look at it. The view is exactly the same. The view is exactly the same as what an instructor would see. So it's really easy to explain to a student. It's really easy to have the same workflow in parallel with what a teacher would do. So let's say the instructor has created an assignment for a student to introduce themselves, which is a very, very popular way to break the ice and also learn how to use the tool. So if I have an assignment like that called Introduce Yourself, I can go right into it. I can click Start Assignment, and oh, what do you know? there's the Panopto logo in the rich content editor. So if I go in there, same principle applies. If I already recorded content, I can locate it and put it here, or I could upload other content that maybe I had recorded externally. And if I want to use it here, I can, or just like what an instructor could do. I could click record and record it right there. Another way that students are able to do that, though, which is really, really handy, is that if they are in the Panopto Recordings navigation link, just like we saw with an instructor, they can come up to the Create window and choose Panopto for Windows or Panopto Capture. So it's the same exact formula for success when it comes to demonstrating knowledge like that. And then when it comes to submitting the assignment, it just works like you would submit any traditional assignment. You would embed the video, you'd click your Submit Assignment button, and then next thing you know, your instructor has access to the content from the student perspective, and you don't have to worry about whether or not they can view it. So it's really, really seamless in that way. And we also had talked about the quizzing mode for it from a student perspective. And I have to highlight this because this is really neat. When you go into an assignment, you're able to actually locate that quiz and be able to take it. So if I come in here to the video that I created the quiz in, I'm going to have it load in a new window. And as I play it, it's going to take me to the point in the video where the quiz is located. And notice I get the question. And of course, I told the folks before we started, I had some kind of affinity for elephants as I was creating this. So if I say elephant is the only animal on Earth that can't jump, it will tell me I'm correct. And next thing you know, I come to my Canvas course as a student, and I go to the gradebook, and oh, look, there's my grade. My grade is in, and I earned my 10 points. So just a really, really cool way to be able to show the knowledge off and earn credit for it if that's what the instructor is looking for. So now let's show off a little bit more about how a student can use searchable features and how a student can really immerse themselves in video. This is kind of like the grand finale of it here. So let's say I want to go back and say, where did my instructor talk about elephants? Because they seem to really cover that hard. I just go up to my search window in the course, I type in the word elephants, and take a look at what it comes up with. It shows me every place where the word is spoken. It will also show me, to Cooljit's point, every point where it exists in a slide or any text that exists with shared content. So it's really, really neat that it pulls that off and does it so well. Now, let's say I want to go in and take more notes for myself as a student. Some of these are actually really unsung features that we have harped on folks for using. So the first one is notes. So if I'm a student, I'm in a course, and I say to myself, you know what, there's a portion of this that I really think I should focus harder on. So I can come into where the graph is, for example, for CMS data, and I can say, this graph is going to be vital for my next recording. I can do that, press my enter key, and when I come back to this video, I can select this and it'll take me right there. And I think this is also highlighting jump to moment navigation. So I can make the notes to jump to my own points of navigation for this particular video. The other piece to this is bookmarks. And my favorite part about bookmarks is it has a very similar parallel feature to notes, but you can just be very brief with these, whereas with the notes, you could go a little bit more detailed if you like. So for me in this, I could just put CMS data chart, press enter, and now I know where my bookmark is. That will also point me to my notes in the video. So as a student, I'm already enriched with the power to be able to make this my own. And I'm not using a separate notebook. I'm not typing it in my phone. I'm just putting it all right here. And when I'm ready to come back to it, I know where everything is. It's a complete system that is internal that can be used by faculty and students alike to pull these kinds of things off. Of course, we always want people to caption their videos. So when folks are watching the content, which I'm doing here as a student, you notice that the content is captioned. So I'm able to actually see the captions and even adjust the look of the captions to make sure that I can see what I need to see. In addition, we also have playback controls. So if I wanted to speed this up a little bit and dissect it a little bit more quickly, I could. Or if I need to slow it down and really try to immerse myself in what's being communicated, I can do that as well. So all of this, from the instructor perspective and the student perspective, just goes to show that Panopto works within all of the Canvas workflows. If you know how to use the rich content editor, you're in business. If you know how to enable a navigation link in the course, you're in business. That's why the integration is so neat. And the result is a more efficient experience for instructors and a more intuitive study experience for students who are paying the bills. And it allows them to interact with video content in the same environment where learning already happens. That's the key to the entire part of this demo here. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and take us back to our slideshow. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we've experienced at UNLV, because we actually have been partners with Instructure and Panopto for 8 years. They both came on at the same time because we didn't have content management. We were going to a new LMS, and we actually didn't have a video conferencing solution either. So fun fact, that's why I was hired. So what does adoption look like when you have video deeply integrated with Canvas? This is what we're going to highlight even more. So I had highlighted or hinted at a formula coming up. You have a Canvas course, you have a Panopto integration, you've got your result, which is your video creation, your sharing, your engagement. How easy can it be? If it can be that easy, it will be a used tool. That's the beauty of having this integration put together. So to highlight this, these numbers, by the way, have, of course, increased since we were looking at this back in February, late February. But look at how many times within courses that somebody launched that Panopto navigation link. I mean, 437,000? And our semester was just 6 weeks old. I mean, that's crazy. But it also shows that the tool's being used by over 11,000 people just this semester. And we've still got a long way to go, but you blink and the semester ends. And then look at how many courses are using Panopto. These are courses that have that navigation link put into the left side navigation panel. So high numbers for this, and they just keep growing even year after year, semester after semester. To put this in perspective, take a gander of how it's like blowing out the rest of the LTI integrations that we have. And UNLV has about 90 Canvas integrations and LTIs put into the system. But I mean, I can't even find anything except H5P, which is also allowing us to use Panopto content, coming up in the 6-figure mark for that. So I'm tempted to go back and look at this to see just how much it's grown. But you can see it is getting heavy use. So why do faculty use it? We were kind of demonstrating it when we were looking at it before, but here's a little bit more of a breakdown of that. Notice, didn't have to go anywhere else. Didn't need a separate username, didn't need a separate password. I did everything from inside my Canvas course shell. That's what I expect. And that's what students expect. We used to say things were luxuries. Now they're expected. And that's why having something simple to use makes it more of a appeal to use. You can embed the content with the rich content editor. You can submit recordings from the student perspective. You can view the recordings. You can make the notes and bookmarks like we were demonstrating. So that's all about the native feel. And we also talked a little bit about automation, but this is a little bit of a deeper dive into what we do at UNLV. So whenever our course shells are created, we also have the content folders automatically create. So we talked about the creators and the viewers automatically being put in there. That's all put into a folder that's automatically created. So I'm not creating a folder and I'm not provisioning the folder. It's all being done for me. We've also done this with assignment folders. We noticed that a lot of instructors wanted to utilize Panopto in their courses, but a lot of students were having trouble accessing it because of the extra assignment folder step. So we just have them automatically create, and it has made a night and day difference for how our faculty and students utilize the tool. So being able to share that content just within the course as well, I think is a super powerful thing. You don't have to go to anyone with the link to your sharing permissions. You can just share it right within the course, and anybody who's in it are the only folks who are eligible to see it by default. So that's really cool. We talked about this before. Benji really made sure that this was a point of emphasis here. You want to be in your video. You want to be in your material. You want to be permeating through and really making it your own from a study perspective. So you're not just watching it anymore. You've got your captions. You've got the ability to make your bookmarks. You've got the ability to slow it down or speed it up, depending upon, well, maybe you're reviewing it and you have already heard it once, but you just want to speed through it or even slow it down in a particular segment. You've got the power to do that. And the quizzing, you saw just how easy it was to create the quiz and how fast a grade could pass back to Canvas in the gradebook. It's just so simple. And that also helps the students understand the content better instead of just trying to watch it. And when you are able to make video deeply integrate into something, that's where people are going to say, wow, I've been missing out. Or, hey, I've been the pioneer for this. You all should follow along. So you can have that seamless integration, and that will get faculty on board with using it. And we talked about the automations that we have a little bit earlier. Everybody's time is valuable, especially an instructor's time, because think about everything that an instructor has to do. Any way you can save time to use a tool makes it easy to sell as a cool tool to use. And when you have the students engaging more with interactive video, that opens the door for possibilities to demonstrate how they've dissected their content. So you can really see the power of how this all goes. And with that, the demo is a thumbs up. The adoption and case study is a thumbs up. So Kuljit, wrap it up for us and show us the future of video learning.
Thank you, Andy. So that was wonderful. Thank you so much. That was an awesome, awesome demo. And it showed live that true integration that we have. I also want to thank you for sharing those amazing stats from UNLV. It makes me secure in my job because video is clearly here to stay. So if we move on a little bit, yeah, so video, evolving from this passive content playback vehicle to intelligent study aids, where it is today, is exactly where we feel AI can be the lever. So Panopto, we view AI through a very purposeful lens. It's got to create and demonstrate benefit. Can't just be that sort of little sparkly thing off on the side. It has to be natural in the workflow and enhance the experience. So with that in mind, we leverage both machine learning and AI and have for many years. Really, that element that we talked about for search is powered by custom machine learning models. The OCR is powered by that. So that is always there in the background and has been functioning as machine learning models. That discoverability is one part of the equation. Accessibility, obviously, is the other part of the equation to make sure we meet the needs of all learners. So the larger platform has accessibility functionality, and I know a number of our audience are right now dealing with Title II. So in terms of, again, meeting the needs of our customers, we have a number of functionality both at the platform level for engagement, as well as elements such as automatic speech recognition, translation into languages for captions, 20 plus languages, and the ability to do audio descriptions, both AI and human, to recognize, the cost difference there. So the target of quality is in our customers' hands. We don't try and make that determination for our customers. There's also a comprehensive set of reporting to let you know exactly what video has what type of remediation on there, so you can very, very narrowly focus that engagement. If we move on, so part of this, and Benji touched on this way back at the beginning now, is a tool that we have called Access AI. And this does a few different things. If you imagine a student who is sort of just stressing out because they have a library that they can access of videos that are hours long, the question around findability, but also comprehension. So they find the right video, but how do they know what is in there? What are the key points? What are the summarizations? Well, you can get that, right? So Access AI, what's shown on the right-hand side is, here's the summary, here are the key points that are in this video. And it'll also create chapters so you can link to those key concepts um, directly rather than having to scrub these long videos, right? So it's one of these elements when you have it, it's like, yeah, it's natural, it's of course, but not having it, there's a real friction point. So this is a piece of functionality that leverages AI. Moving on. So far, I have really talked about the engagement of video that exists. The question is, how about creating content? And we have a tool for this as well. It's called Eli. Eli is designed for a number of different things. So what it does is it creates avatar narrated video. But the reason we sort of acquired Eli is to take static documents such as PDFs, PowerPoints, or even concepts. So, with the world today, with the supply chain, you could have something like create 3 examples to introduce students to the whiplash effect in supply chain. Remember studying that? It's sort of what we're experiencing now. And the AI can work with that, create a story and a script that can be leveraged. Like everything else that we do with AI, you can overwrite it, right? So the human is always, always in the center of that engagement. The reason we feel Eli is powerful is it removes barriers of equipment, production, skill. And one thing a lot of people don't take into account is a lot of people are not comfortable on camera. So the avatar as a proxy for that individual is a powerful mechanism. You could actually take a video of a real person and turn it into an avatar. That is a piece of functionality as well. You can go much further though. As we have been talking about engagement, you could embed quizzing in here so that those checks for knowledge can happen. But you can also create branching logic and choose your own adventure, right? So if you want an interactive video, truly interactive video, you can create that branching logic. So as the student makes decisions, they get different points of the video so that it can be a really engaging experience for them. It's wonderful for things like introductions, to new topics and concepts, etc. So in summary, what we have with our AI functionality is to leverage AI in a purposeful and thoughtful way to remove friction. And just one real quick thing, I mentioned sort of the AI search. It'll be coming next month, so just a matter of a couple of weeks, will be AI search functionality. So you can search on concepts, do natural language searching, search on context, because you want to promote that findability no matter where those materials may be. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to our MC, Benji.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Koljit. Wow, Andy, as someone who does demonstrations almost every single day, I know firsthand about the joy and the pressure associated with them. So I just want to say, great job. And thank you to Koljit speaking on the philosophy, the design principles, and for all the work that you've been doing behind the scenes in the Q&A, to which we will turn shortly. Before we turn to that Q&A, we do want to provide you with a one-stop shop for everything we've covered today. We're putting a QR code on the screen and a link momentarily in the chat, which you can use to learn more about Panopto and how these AI tools can work for your institution. Connect with Koljit, Andy, or myself on LinkedIn. We'd love to keep this conversation going with you there. And finally, that's one place where the recording of today's session will live, which you can expect to see there and in your email inbox in about 24 hours. We've been watching the Q&A panel, and as I mentioned before, Koljit has been active answering questions, and we have some additional inquiries which we'd like to attend to now. We have about 15 minutes left, so let's dive into them. Andy, I'm going to toss the first one to you. What challenges do you experience with Panopto videos when faculty are trying to transfer content from one Canvas course shell to another? And how do you help explain and support faculty in how to overcome any challenges there?
That is a fabulous question. And for alliteration, we actually have documentation in our knowledge base called pesky Panopto permissions, because sometimes people will just say, I'm just going to copy the link and put it in my next course. And what happens? Students click on it and it says, I can't access it. There's a reason why that happens. It's because Panopto is doing its job. It's saying that content is only for this area. So what we've done is we've actually tried to reframe how faculty will transfer content from one course to another. And the big thing that we mention is if they want to store their content in a subfolder of their My folder, which is a personal repository in a Panopto account, they can do that and then use the rich content editor to embed the content into their shell. Then if they want to copy that content to a future shell, that rich content editor embed code carries forward, and you don't run into those pesky Panopto permission quandaries anymore. They're not pesky to us, but sometimes people just think I should click a link and it should work. There's a reason why there's a shield around it. But the other challenge I just want to highlight real quick is that a lot of times faculty don't realize if you are using your content outside of its intended course, you have to caption it and you have to edit it for FERPA compliance. And most of the folks who didn't do that get a really hard lesson in the future. So we've really made it a priority to make sure that they know about those factors coming into play for the permissions, the accessibility, and the FERPA compliance as they are sharing content from course to course.
Thank you so much for that, Andy. All alliteration aside, pesky Panopto permissions, absolutely love it. I'm going to ask you another question about content and sharing it, and then I'm going to return to Koljit for a couple accessibility questions. Andy, you spoke about taking Panopto content from one Canvas course shell to another. What about when a faculty wants to share this content outside of Canvas? What does that look like?
Oh, that's an awesome question as well, because you have multiple avenues for that depending on how secure you want to keep that content. What I love is the sharing permissions actually mimic some of the tools that we use. So it's really easy to explain how to change those permissions and widen the audience a little bit. But let's say somebody says, I only have 5 other people that I want to see this, and that's all. It's also really easy to go into your sharing permissions for the video and just enter their email addresses, all 5 of them. And if they are receiving an email, it's almost like getting an email to a recording, which you will get later. You'd be able to click on it and have the permission to be able to see it since it goes to that email address. But most of the time, we try to make sure that people understand the impact of widening the permissions of their video content, especially because if I am in a course and I'm a student and I'm the only one supposed to view it, but the video is set to anyone with the link, that student could easily send it out there and other people who are anonymous could view it, and who knows what they'd be doing with that content. So that's the only things that we bring up when it comes to sharing outside of Canvas, but it is possible.
Thank you, Andy. Koljit, I'm going to bring a couple of captioning questions to you, and then there will be a couple of use case and recommendation questions, which will be open to Koljit and Andy. So a two-part question, Koljit. One, does Panopto auto-detect the language in media before captioning? Most of this question asker's content is in English, but we also have a fair amount of non-English content. But additionally, for those auto-generated captions, are they human editable? And what does that editing process look and feel like to make sure that they are indeed accessible?
Yes, so the language is automatically detected prior to that transcription. The editing, there's a few different ways you can do it. You could actually replace the entire one with your own if you really want to go that far. There are edits. There's also a really powerful feature So if people have, when you have classes such as medical classes, computer science, etc., there's a custom dictionary that can be created for picking up words that get frequently wrong. So there are ways to automate those elements as well. So there's a number of approaches that we try and take. Actually, just so happens we're working on a significant enhancement, leveraging AI and GPUs to really kick up the level of accuracy on the translations as well. And which will also enable another feature, which is live captioning on live streams that they'll be coming as well. So, and I mean, by coming in literally 1.5 months. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Back to you, Andy. A question for you. What have you found at UNLV to be the biggest time-saving or efficiency gain for faculty since adopting Panopto within Canvas? And was there anything that surprised you? Any use cases you didn't foresee being so popular?
Well, I think one of the biggest time savers was just the fact that a faculty member just needed to literally drag a navigation link into a course and click on it, and everything was built. That's like saying, build me a house, but do it in 5 seconds without me having to go and decide what kind of tile I need or what kind of wall structure I want. It's all done. And when that is all in the can, as I like to say in my broadcasting terms coming into play here, but when that's all ready to go, it means that the instructor can just start and get off and running with their strategy for being able to help students engage with content. So I just selfishly speaking, that's also a time saver from the support perspective, because now we're not having to go and help them populate users into a folder or anything like that. It's just all done natively to the integration. So that's the biggest time saver. As far as like interesting use cases, believe it or not, when we started out with this, we had a bunch of different ones. And, some were just the traditional, I'm going to record my lecture in the room and present it to my students. Then I'm going to make some flipped classrooms smaller in quantity videos that weren't as long. But there was an instructor who wanted to hear her students demonstrate how they would speak fluid Italian. And so we walked them through the assignment folder creation process, because this was very early on in the adoption. And next thing you know, all the students are able to demonstrate how they speak the language on video. And the instructor can listen and assign a grade based on fluidity, the translation and everything. So it was a surprising use case for us, because we were just thinking, wow, we're taking foreign language instruction and we're actually really showing a demonstration of it for a class that's hybrid. Like, that's really, really cool when you think about it. So just for me, that's the use case that I think was the most surprising.
Thank you, Andy. Kuljit, a few AI focused questions, and I see that moments ago you answered a question in the Q&A about what kind of models and folks with whom you're
Yeah.
partnering. And my question for you is, you mentioned purposeful AI earlier. Your recommendations to institutions, how should they be thinking about evaluating AI tools in a way that actually benefits learning and doesn't just add features? And a follow-up to that, as we think about benefiting learning and not just adding features, we don't want to overwhelm our users. How are you thinking about surfacing AI-generated outputs like summaries or the chapters without necessarily overwhelming the user experience inside of Canvas?
Wow, that's a big
Yeah,
question.
sorry.
Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it in half. The
Yeah.
first part, it's funny, I did a webinar on AI tools, and I have a little framework that I will paste in the chat for everyone to hopefully that will be an aid. Because a lot of it is, I use the word purposeful, thoughtful AI, and I keep repeating it internally and have decks on this, because it is all around why are you doing it? And the answer can't be because it's cool, right? And especially in a educational setting, there has to be governance around it, there has to be structure around it, and there has to be an aspect of safety around it. So I will dig that up and I will drop it in the chat. And in terms of the second question, we always want to be a good citizen to the LMS, right? Because that battle of where learning happens got settled for me a long time ago, a very long time ago. And if you try and go around it, you are just creating friction with, not being good citizens. So inside of Canvas, when videos get embedded, so there was another question around Access AI. That is a feature add, but if you add that feature and you create those summaries, that player that is there, there's a little button at the bottom, a little white triangle that's pointing up. If you click on it, the summaries get displayed, right? So people don't have to go anywhere, and we don't want them to be bouncing around in order to do these apps. So everything that we try and surface, we will surface in the context of where they are, which is typically the player or the search interface or the Panopto interface for the faculty who can get to the entire library of elements. So everything is manifested, directly into that video object. And excuse me while I look on the side and find that little framework.
Absolutely. Thank you, Koljit. A couple of nuts and bolts questions here. I know as a classroom educator myself, when I would come to one of these, I would be inspired to take action in the next hour. And so I see a few of these questions and I want to make sure we attend to them. So if someone is inspired to take action, they can. A question: do the Panopto quizzes only send to the Canvas gradebook if the recording is inserted into an assignment? Would it also send quiz results to the Canvas gradebook if it were embedded into an RCE Canvas page? Open question for Koljit and or Andy.
I can speak from experience that we really haven't delved into that part of it. We were just, immersed with the assignment workflow to be able to make sure faculty and students were on the same page. And since that workflow is so ingrained in everybody's process, we didn't really want to divert from that and have them try going out and putting a quiz in elsewhere unless the quiz was not graded. So if they wanted to just do a test of it, they could always see the quiz results through the Panopto video itself versus the gradebook. But I honestly can't speak to if that would work or not. But according to the awesome documentation that Panopto provides, the assignment workflow guarantees that it's going to go into the gradebook.
Right
Yeah,
on.
no, it should go into the gradebook because that is a quiz element that is directly linked to the gradebook.
Right
Um,
on.
yeah.
Yeah. An
Gotcha.
assignment will appear in that gradebook. A page, I think, will not.
Mhm.
Similarly, permissions now. By default, our students have only viewer permissions to Panopto videos. Is there anything special that an instructor of a Canvas course has to do in order to allow the students to have record permissions in
Oh,
that course?
pick me, pick me.
Andy,
We did we did this a lot before we actually had the automatic assignment folder creation. But the key to all of it is within the course, you will see that you have a course folder that, in our case, it actually matches the course shell. So, like for example, my course was called TRN-Borts. So just for the sake of demonstrating here, I'll just bring this back over real fast so you can see. There is actually a folder in here called an assignment folder. And if you don't have these created automatically, creating one of these will actually give all of the students in the course that creator access that they need to be able to contribute to this. And if you have students saying, well, I don't see a create button in my course, that likely means that you don't have this assignment folder there. So creating that is what gives those students the creator access for that video submission folder. That's the whole key to it. And make sure you follow the exact workflow. Don't just create a brand new folder that you title assignments, because that won't work. If you do it the way the folder creation structure walks you through it, you'll be able to have your students record.
right on. Andy, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for your demonstration, but especially that little cherry on top, which gives us some of the tools to take action right now. And folks, time flies. I look at the clock and we have but 1 minute left in our time together. So I want to make sure to say one more time, thank you Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for making the time to be with us in the midst of your busy schedules. And a very, very, very special thank you to Kuljit and Andy for sharing your insights, your expertise, and your experiences as we explore the present and the future of video learning inside of Canvas. We truly hope that all of you found this informational and inspiring. Thanks again for being here, and have a wonderful rest of your day, folks.